Hey there, all right. We're going to walk through what happens when you've got a pre-show coming up. So we're going to go to my calendar, and you'll notice that today at 2 I have Cody Jones. And the team has already dropped the StreamYard link in here, so it's very easy to find, but I can also find it manually. You'll notice that there's phone numbers in here. It's very important at the time of the call, if he's not in the room at 2 o'clock, that at 2 o'clock exactly, you call this individual. The reason why is our system tells them that this is a phone call because it is not possible currently to have StreamYard connected to a CRM with these unique IDs that are required without a team member updating this manually. You don't have to take care of that. The team's going to take care of it. But in the event the guest does not see that, you need to be ready to grant them access or to take a phone call instead, since they are anticipating a phone call. So I've got Cody here. I've got his Pure Wisdom podcast information, and I see these at yahoo.com. That's just funny. We're going to come back over here. The other way to find it is you can scroll through these. You can click load more down at the bottom once you're in StreamYard, and you can scroll through these. You can also use Control F to look for the name Cody, and you'll see that right there at the top, there it was. I can enter this studio now. When I enter the studio, it's not starting the studio experience. Let's see here. All right, stop the camera. Perfect. And I can update my information. Ideally, yours will be saved. We're going to go right in there. So now that we're in the studio, you can see that in the bottom left-hand corner, I am not on the stage yet. If you're not familiar with this, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is click add to stage. Now I'm on there. My camera's not active, but my microphone is, so they would be able to hear me. If I'm behind the scenes, they have no idea I'm here. You'll see them right next to yourself, and they're also not on there, and you won't be able to hear them unless you click and add their profile. So the only thing you need to do is click on yourself and click on them, and then if you want to remove for whatever reason, you can. But once we're on here, it's not recording. We're just in the studio together. And I'm going to move over to banners. It is usually preloaded with pre-show banners. If not, the banner folders exist here. You can look through it, but it pre-shows almost at the top. And now you can navigate between the different questions that you may want to ask depending on how they answer the question. A lot of this is just a alignment of my own heart and mind when I'm talking to them. I always start with, tell me about your vision. And you'll notice that when I talk to them, I don't start with that first. I need to get with saying that first. I need to get the visual cue on, and as closely as possible. And once I've prepared them, I start, but I'll say, okay, Cody Jones, tell me about your vision. What I'm doing is I'm using this physical cue as the timestamp cut cue for our team, because our team speaks Spanish. So they don't necessarily know when to start and when to stop recordings, excuse me, based on what's said. It's the cue that helps. And then once that we're done talking about the vision, I might end with saying something, or I might realize they had the perfect outro in line. They weren't looking for any validation. If they look for validation at the end, it's a voice influx. They go to a higher pitch, like, and yeah, that's pretty much it, Jackson. Like that's a request for help. And so we're going to jump in and say, hey, that was great. Thank you so much for letting us know about that. Let's dive into the next question. And then I cut. Right now I've made my cut. I go into the next one, and maybe they didn't talk about where their vision came from. Maybe we didn't get a good sense of what their why is, or we want them to expand on the story behind it. Maybe we want to know where they're going with it. Maybe they just talked about the present vision. I always then use these two questions. You can ask it however you see fit, but when we're talking about funding, we learn a lot about their mindset, and the people who are going to hear those clips as well, they're going to benefit so much from it, because people do have a hard time talking about it. That's actually the reason why we're doing it. We're just trying to get people to talk about it. If they fail at it, if they're great at it, it doesn't really matter too much, because the point is the value that the audience hears us talking about it, and the audience then gets to dive in or jump into that conversation on their own with a friend or through our platforms. So the brand experience, you don't have to worry about. That's all teed up, but just so you see, you can change between different brands in here. And you can use features like sizzle reels to say, if you have a sizzle reel, like here's an example. Right? So now I just turn it off. All I have to do is click and click, or I can let it run until the end. So we do have a couple of really good sizzle reels in here, Kareem and Miss T's. And those are just, it's just helpful information for you as you navigate this. Now, let's look up here in the top right corner where it says record. If I click record, nothing happens, right? If I click off, nothing happens. It's not going to happen until I hit record down here. Remember though, if you hit the next record button, the studio is going to be dead once you're done recording the session, meaning you cannot use this studio again. It's one of the things I don't like about StreamYard. I hope they fix it in the future or change it. I've never messed with this local recordings thing. I might regret it someday, but for now, I just don't mess with it. So with the, with the record option, and that's what we want. We don't want to mess with the editing set. We're not going live. This is a behind the scenes recording, and we're going to make cuts for the episode. So we're able to have conversation with them knowing that, and I still like to hit record at the very beginning. Before I even say hi to them, before I bring them on, I'm going to come up here, before I bring myself on, I actually hit record again, and then I bring myself on and them on. You know, I say, hey, it's great to meet you. We have that opening dialogue, and I let them know, by the way, we're not live. And we're going to be recording some behind the scenes footage today in order to promote you to our audience as best we can. Do you have any questions for me before we dive in? And I ask you to tell me about your vision. Right. So that's how I pretty much go about doing these recordings. Once you're done, very rarely, but on occasion, if your internet is bad or their internet is having trouble, it will ask you or them to stay in the studio. If they leave the studio, it will present you with a link that you need to send them, because it will not finish recording the episode or processing the episode recording until they go back to that link and allow their computer to process it. For you, you just got to stay there until it's done. That's only happened to me like 3 times in, I don't know, 50 of these pre-show recordings, maybe 100 of these pre-show recordings, probably more like 100. So it does happen, but now you're prepared for that too. There's also a private chat here. If you put comments in here, live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. This is an example. Well, if you do, add a destination to, okay, cool. So I won't even let you do it. You got to go to private chat here. This is where you will drop the steps to success link. So let me just give one final example on that, even though you're going to see it in the recordings. That is with the success leaves clues slide, which you'll notice I have in a newer position in the beginning so that it's easy to just get them the information so they can start going through that while you're talking through the rest. A lot of people love to multitask. Give them the chance to do that. It gives them freedom, right? So I would just drop in here in the comments, bam. There's a document for their steps of success if you haven't seen it. And in fact, it's probably just a great thing to review real quick. You'll notice that it walks them through the purpose of the document for distributing their episode, as well as how it can help with the organic reach. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join the Facebook group, connect their channels to StreamYard, and our StreamYard link for that, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter if they want to follow us or do a post regarding their episode and how excited they are. Who's a great, I should talk about that more often when I'm talking to them. Who's a great referral, the referral template, and it's over. Just a 1-page quick access document to help them have success with us. So that concludes everything about how to use StreamYard. There's nothing else that you will need to do on your end in order to have an excellent pre-show. Take care.